Costa Rica means rich coast and was named by Spanish explorers who hoped to find gold here. Little gold was discovered, but the land is rich in other ways. A special realm lies between the shoreline and the forest. This is a mangrove forest estuary, home to crocodiles. It is breeding season, and a large male asserts his dominance over the rest of the group. The raised head of this female signals that she is willing to submit to his rule. The male slaps the water and raises his tail, letting other males know who's in charge. Soon the female signals that she is receptive, and the slow reptilian courtship begins. The male blows bubbles to arouse his mate. Then he raises his tail to demonstrate his impressive size. The female now arouses him with bubbles. He replies with more bubbles, and finally they are ready to mate underwater. It seems a safe time to drink, but small monkeys must always be careful of someone looking for a snack. Capuchin monkeys forage everywhere, from the forest floor to the canopy above, eating practically anything they can find: insects, eggs, lizards, and even frogs. The ripe fruit of a palm tree is on the menu today. The monkeys can travel 2 or 3 kilometers through the forest each day, searching for new sources of food. If an unwary mother squirrel leaves the nest to find her family a meal, the opportunistic capuchins will not hesitate to devour the baby squirrels. Meat is prized among capuchins, and the dominant male has his fill first. Crocodiles are also opportunistic feeders, but what they hunt depends on their age and size. This young male has caught a blue crab. But if he doesn't gulp it down quickly enough, a larger croc might well take it away. In this pristine forest, success and failure, like life and death, are frighteningly unpredictable. Survival here is a lottery. A tenor-saw lizard spots its prey. It is ready to strike, but unfortunately, so are these army ants. The million-strong army swarms through the forest, destroying almost anything that stands in its way. Its relentless advance drives other creatures into the open, where other predators are waiting. In the face of constant danger, many strange relationships evolve in this place. One such relationship is that between the acacia tree and the ants that live inside it. Unlike the marauding army ants, acacia ants make a permanent home inside the tree's hollow thorns. The acacia tree sustains the ants with a sweet, rich nectar secreted from glands that grow on its stems. But this is a two-way relationship. In exchange for food and shelter, the ants patrol the tree, constantly searching for creatures who might otherwise devour it. Using their powerful jaws, acacia ants will attack any intruder, regardless of size. The first on the scene sound an alarm, and more ants immediately rush out to help repel the uninvited guest. Ants encounter few predators in the rainforests of Costa Rica. But there is one creature that's an accomplished assassin of ants, the fearsome poison dart frog. These deadly amphibians come in a variety of bold colors, which advertise the presence of complex poisons in their skin, and warn their own predators to stay well away. Ants are a favored meal, and experts believe that the frogs actually derive their protective toxins from eating them. As night falls, a new pattern of life begins to unfold. Protected by the darkness from predators, billions of insects begin to feed. Among them are caterpillars, voracious consumers of leaves. Their seemingly boundless appetites pose a threat to many plants. So to limit the damage their hungry mouths can inflict, plants wage chemical warfare. They produce a number of potent toxins, including cyanide and strychnine. A resistance to chemicals and plant for which developed tolerance. They just don't poison the caterpillars, but remain in their bodies, making the caterpillars toxic to their own predators. Bats serve the forest by eating insects and also by pollinating plants. Short-tailed leaf-nosed bats gather nectar from night-blooming flowers. As they feed, they also spread pollen from plant to plant. Fallen fruit exudes a pungent aroma that attracts the bat. The seeds it swallows as it eats will later be dispersed into the forest, where they will have a chance to grow. The morpho caterpillar has grown to full size by devouring hundreds of leaves. Now it begins its transformation into a pollinator of flowers. The larva becomes a chrysalis and hangs silently from a stem. Then, after about a month, it finally emerges as a morpho butterfly. It has to learn to fly before dawn, or it risks attack by birds and other predators. Once its wings have dried, it's ready. Although the butterfly may only live for a few weeks, it will contribute greatly to the forest's well-being by pollinating hundreds of flowers. A chain of mountains called the Cordillera forms a spine that runs the length of Costa Rica. In the center of the range stands Arenal, one of the most active volcanoes on Earth. Arenal is a living, breathing mountain whose eruptions change the face of Costa Rica on a daily basis. Molten boulders, the size of cars, hurtle down the volcano's slopes. While some boulder fields expand, others shrink as the forest claims the new ground. Lichens are the first to colonize the stone. They help break down the rock to form soil, where grasses, ferns, and eventually trees will establish themselves. Gradually, a forest forms where none existed before. And today, the cloud forest of Arenal is teeming with life. A three-wattled bellbird calls for a mate. Cloud forest covers the tops of all but the highest of Costa Rica's mountains. Driven by trade winds from the Caribbean, clouds sweep up and over the mountains, bathing the forest in constant moisture. The cloud forest is a bizarre collection of gnarled trees festooned with orchids. And in this warm, humid atmosphere, some of the most exotic creatures in the world reside. Around 50 species of hummingbird make the forest their home, feeding on nectar they sip from flowers. But the most famous inhabitant here is undoubtedly the resplendent quetzal, reputed to be the most beautiful bird in the New World. A pair is raising its young in a cavity nest during the spring breeding season. The ornately feathered male makes regular deliveries of wild avocado to his mate and 2 hatchlings inside. Nearby, infant hummingbirds sit perched in their tiny nest, waiting for their mother to bring them nectar. An overhanging fig tree, ripe with fruit, provides a feast for a whole range of forest birds. The birds also benefit the tree by dispersing fig seeds throughout the forest. Fruit that falls from the tree provides a good meal for a family of coatis, who will also disperse the seeds. Soon other creatures, like this rat, are drawn by the smell of ripe figs. And the smell of rat soon draws a boa. Holding the rat in its sharp teeth, the snake constricts and suffocates its prey. Then it eats the rat whole. Howler monkeys are strictly vegetarian and spend much of their time signaling the boundaries of their territory. There are more howlers in Costa Rica than any other species of monkey. They live in troops and methodically graze the canopy for food. Howlers only eat the best parts of particular trees to maximize their protein intake. Tennosaur lizards share the howler's love of yellow cortez blossoms, a delicacy when they're in bloom. With such an abundance of flowers, sharing is not a problem. In the midst of the bounty, some creatures find romance, like this pair of green tree snakes.
We went up to the strip in the filming vehicle and switched off and listened and heard this buffalo, sounded like buffalo distress call towards the pan. Went down there and this youngish female buffalo was in the pan, surrounded by 11 lions, sitting on the edge, just waiting. And what was interesting, there were also crocs that had been seen in that pan. She was obviously not aware of that. And not too long after that, she tried to escape. And the lions surrounded her.
It's catch-22 for the abandoned buffalo. Stay in the water and await a crocodile ambush, or attempt an escape past the awaiting lions.
This happened throughout the evening, probably 8 to 9 times. She sometimes lay in the water for half an hour, up to an hour at a time.
But as the cold darkness descends, the situation is about to take an unexpected turn. With the failing light limiting the vision of both animals, the buffalo makes its final move.
We were there all night. And eventually she had maneuvered herself without them coming around the edge of the pan. She ran into a thickish area down a donga system and managed to shake them off. So it was a lucky ending for the buffalo.
Some of Africa's prey have become skilled at eluding their predators. One in particular is the waterbuck. The ability to release repellent odors from its sweat glands and retreating to the water to evade its predators has provided this antelope with a reliable escape mechanism. But some of the best laid plans can sometimes backfire, as Elman Mshlongo observed.
We got a call from a game driver telling us a waterbuck was inside the water at a dam. So we rushed there and saw this waterbuck hiding in the water. The lioness was just waiting at the edge of the dam. She must have thought it was very deep.
But the waterbuck is about to make a fatal mistake.
But then the young waterbuck starts standing, and if the waterbuck's standing there, the lioness sees that it's not that deep, so the female lioness runs straight into the water.
But this drenched feline is sorely mistaken if she believes she can enjoy her well-earned spoils alone.
Then she brings it outside the water, but she doesn't pull it completely out because she's scared for the other lions. All the female lions just run straight into the water and start fighting.
Capable of killing prey as large as elephant, giraffe and hippo, the lions take no time in savagely dismembering this ill-fated water